Om Shanat Paribhavatyaya Namaha. Vidyapramam Brahmachyogavaya Namaha. Ye Gattam Bhavatyogasya Prabhoya Namaha. Yani Padaya Namaha. Yana Prabham Pravaya Namaha. Yajya Prabham Pravaya Namaha. Ye Gadanda Pravaya Namaha. Vatva Priyaya Namaha. Prabham Brahmachyogavaya Namaha. Sadvik Paratyogavam Pravaya Namaha. एकदंडकराय नमः सरस्वतीये भगत्यो भवं भवत्याये नमः विष्णुभराय नमः विद्याप्रभं ब्रह्माय नमः भक्तेश्वराय नमः प्रभं ब्रह्मये नमः जो भवत्
Thank you. Thank you. Zoom connected.
नारिकेलं नैवेद्यामि काश्मीरफलं नैवेद्यं दादीशफलं नैवेद्यं शिलानि देशः मातरं ब्रह्मणे स्वाहा गोधूमैव क्षणं नैवेद्यम् सरस्वती भवां यज्ञ प्रभो ज्ञान प्रवत्यो भवं भवाये नमः देहपतो पाथे
Shapan. Allah.
Professor Anil Pandey to deliver the welcome address to the auspicious occasion.
Good morning, everybody. It gives me great pleasure to invite you to this auspicious occasion It is the birthday of Professor Kamala Devaji. She was the first professor of pediatric neurology in this country. A remarkable human being. And her sister, who's another professor, Professor Usha, approached me, I think about 1.5 years back. She just walked into the library. I do not actually recollect why she chose the department of Dr. Ramurthy or why she chose me, but she came with the publications of Professor Kamala. And she wanted to know whether they can be housed in the neuroscience library at BHS. And I said, it is an absolute pleasure. And we kept those papers. I went through them in detail, but I saw what a remarkable corpus of work. Professor Usha is 5 years elder to her sister, Professor Kamala. And I take inspiration from her that what devotion and dedication she has and what her younger sister has. So we celebrate her birthday. In our Sanatan Hindu Dharma, there is no death. It is a journey which continues. And we reiterate that we do not know what coincidence brings us to what decision. We invited Professor Suresh, but Professor Suresh said that probably Indrani Suresh would be the better person to honor that. And I absolutely agree because she knew Professor. So welcome, madam, and thank you so much for accepting our invitation. Professor Kritika Chari, I was in discussion. She's the chief guest. She asked me why chief guest, because she is also, we share a common guru. And she was such a brilliant academician, or rather, she is such a brilliant academician, a neurosurgeon and a neurologist. With some of the papers on language dominance you should see, which she has published many, many years back with. I want those things to be brought into common circulation. So the point I'm trying to make is that neurology, neurosurgery, neurosciences are all enmeshed together. And my teacher, Professor Ramurthy, started neuroscience this part of the world. Being a direct student of Wilder Penfield, this was probably a legacy which he brought to this country. And I actually had a paper, the future of neurosciences in India. So then when Professor Usha told me about this oration, I said, yes, we will definitely honor pediatric neurologists. And that's why Professor Lakshminarayan was our first choice. But I wanted it to include neuroscience so that we can honor people. Not only honor people, we honor the memory of Professor Kamala and make sure that this powerful legacy is revived and continued. And we hope, I have my neuroscience students, I've been teaching this course in the Madras University for nearly, I think, about more than 1.5 decades now. And so I have requested all the neuroscience students to be part of this because it's very, very essential for you. Because the research has to go on into this. So with these words, I welcome all of you, Professor Ari, the orator, Indrani Suresh, Professor Usha, all of you who have bothered to come on a Sunday. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pandey. It is a beautiful way to start this event. Now, I would like to call upon Dr. Indrani Suresh for the presidential address. Very fun to one and all visit out here. It's beautiful Sunday morning. The weather is very pleasant, and it gives me a lot of joy to speak about the person whom I have a place in my heart all the time. Professor Kamala was actually I had known her for over 40 years because I was a student of pediatrics in Children's Hospital, and subsequently me and my husband started Mediscan system. And I remember way back, we had done a study on Duchenne muscular dystrophy. The pseudomuscular dystrophy is actually, it is not the muscle, but it's fatty tissue with the help of ultrasound. In 84 or 85, I think he brought the paper. And most important is, in spite of all her qualification and her kindness and empathy towards the patient, she's an extremely nice human being. And personally, to me, she also looked after my cousin brother, Dr. Madhavan. She used to make house visits and then take care of him. And it gives me great pleasure to, I was just chatting with Dr. Usha, her sister, and I take inspiration from both the parted soul who's with us today here and from her sister. And most important, and it is being honored in PHS. She was a pediatric neurologist. I think Pediatric Society and Neurology Society of India has to make a note of it and then continue this legacy of these kind of operations about people who have contributed very early years in this country. And I'm very happy Dr. Anil Pandey and his team, the neurosciences team in VHS, had made excellent start in this honoring the Professor Kamala. Thank you very much. And I would be very happy to listen to the unmet needs of special children by Professor Lakshminarayan. Because having worked in children's hospital, I've seen all these neurological problems, especially only the mothers will be with them most of the time in the families. I used to feel very sorry when out of my 3 years of graduation there in children's hospital. I think now things are changing. I see more family members contributing, and family members and the society, the neighborhood should help them out so that we can make the bring life and shine into their life. Thank you, Dr. Insani, for your kind words. Now I'd like to call our guest of honor, Dr. Pritika Chari.
Morning to all of you. Dr. Kamala was a very dear friend. We used to work together at Apollo hospitals. We often cross-referred patients to each other. And what impressed anybody who met Kamala was her quiet modesty, her brilliant efficiency. And on top of all this, I didn't realize that she had written so many papers. This came as a news to me today. I had known a few of them, but then I'm not much of a, I don't have too many publications. I've been very strongly focused as a clinical neurologist. So yes, I worked to make a difference in people's lives, but I've not published a lot of what I've done. Kamala impresses you by her sincerity. I used to be great friends with her in conferences. We've had a lot of meetings and come together. We joke around. You may not believe that Kamala can joke around. She has a terrific sense of humor, actually. She's not the serious person that you always see in the clinic. So I have very warm memories of Kamala, and I'm so glad that Anil and Vasudevan and the ALMC department is reviving our common guru, Professor Ram. I've always believed that neurology and neurosurgery are not separate, that they have to work together, they have to meet together. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I qualified both with a DM in neurology and an MCH in neurosurgery. But you cannot separate one from the other. And Professor Ramurthy at all times helped us to understand that we could talk across the table about our cases. And it was very, very useful and very fruitful. And I'm so glad that you're reviving the concept. Because as he said, it's neuroscience. It's not neurology or neurosurgery. So I'm so glad that Professor Usha has created this endowment in Kamala's memory. And wherever you are, Kamala, happy birthday to you. And we are very proud to be part of the celebration for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pritika. That was a very tribute to your friend. Now I'd like to call Ms. Joshita Ramesh to deliver the introduction to Dr. Kamala Devaji. Good morning to everyone present here. We are gathered here on the occasion of commemorating India's first pediatric neurologist, the late Dr. Kamala Devaji. Let us learn more about her journey and her accomplishments today. As such, I, Joshita Ramesh, am privileged to be able to give you a brief look into her lifetime of excellence. Amazing is the faculty of the brain to wind and unwind the past, ever sharp and ready to store more and more forever to last. I took the liberty of starting a look into her life with a beautiful excerpt from her very own writing. Dr. Kamala was born to Mrs. Radha and Mr. Devaji Rao on September 17, 1935. She was brought up in a very loving, fulfilling, and religious home alongside her elder sister, Professor Usha. It was her upbringing that instilled a strong sense of compassion and the need to help others. And she, of course, was a stellar student, passing her 12th standard examination with distinction in all subjects, which laid down the foundation for her completing her MBBS in Madras Medical College in the year of 1961. She was mentored by the great Dr. Krishnamurti Srinivas here. Dr. Kamala went on to finish her DCH and MD in CMC Vellore. In this picture, we can see her getting felicitated by Dr. Webb and his wife. Dr. Webb was a professor of pediatrics at the time, and in this glowing recommendation letter he has written her, he has described her as extremely thorough, completely reliable, and a pleasant person to work with. After establishing her exceptional medical expertise in pediatrics, she went on to complete her DM at the Institute of Neurology in 1981. She began her career in the Institute of Child Health Madras in the Pediatrics Department, proving to be an invaluable member and eventually heading the department. Ultimately, it culminated in her establishing her own department, the Department of Pediatric Neurology. This showcases her commitment to advancing the field of medicine. In fact, she was deputed to Iran from 1975 to 1937, a true testament to her sense of duty and her skill. Now, coming to her academic career, Dr. Kamala holds the distinct honor of being the first professor of pediatric neurology, arguably her largest contribution to the field and our country. Professor Kamala taught both undergraduates and postgraduates in MMC, first in pediatrics, then in pediatric neurology. She was very passionate about teaching and well known for her exemplary lectures, so I've heard. In addition to this, she was a renowned speaker who was invited to many symposiums and conferences around the world. She's presented well over 50 papers, and in countries such as Germany, Japan, Indonesia, and Yugoslavia. In fact, I would like to bring to note one symposium where she organized the third National Symposium of the Indian Academy of Pediatrics on neurodevelopment disorders in children, where our very own Professor V. Ram Murthy delivered the keynote address. And it is now to the date, 34 years later, that IAP has recognized and honored her for her incredible career and service to humanity. These are some of her publications. The Handicapped Child, published in the Antiseptic 72. Hansen's disease in children, a major problem in 1987. This was presented in the 13th Congress of Neurology, where she received a standing ovation for 10 minutes in Germany. The role of genetics and neurological problems in children, published in Biomedicine 85. Real-time ultrasonography, neuromuscular problems of children, published in the Journal of Clinical Ultrasound. A small note is that she published this with her honorary secretary, Dr. Suresh, as well. The rest of her impressive catalog can be found in the ALNC library for those who wish to read. Her pursuit of knowledge was endless, extending beyond her own field of expertise. As such, she had completed certified courses in nutrition and statistics, attended training courses in neuroepidemiology, attended the WHO seminar in integrated curriculum for human development. She was a well-known philanthropist who has always helped the needy and the underprivileged. She has consulted at Karnaprag Alvarpet Orphanage Center, and she's, of course, donated generously for various good causes. Upon retirement, she took up the role of senior consultant at Apollo Hospitals in '93. She was, of course, very proud to be a member of the Apollo family, and I'm sure they are proud to have had her as a member as well. She took telemedicine appointments from which a great number of patients came from West Bengal and Bangladesh. I was told that she took online appointments until the March of 2021. Following a month later, on April 12th, she passed away. Now, here is a letter from a patient that Professor Usha has so kindly provided us. Here, I'd like to note that the patient thanked her profusely for her discipline, commitment, healing touch, knowledge, energy, time, and patience. He has also mentioned his deep interest for her to have an extremely fulfilling life. Now that I've given an overview of Dr. Kamala, distinguished scholar, accomplished professional, I'd like to give a small insight into who she was as a person, her personal attributes and hobbies. She was classically trained in the Veena. She enjoyed writing poetry from the age of 11. We do have multiple copies of her works in our library as well. She was greatly inspired by nature and the divine, and this can be evidenced in her writings. She also enjoyed reading Sanskrit literature. In addition to that, she was fluent in Tamil, Hindi, English, Telugu, Marathi, and Kannada. Dr. Kamala has achieved great success in her field while maintaining humility, kindness, and generosity. Her life can be encapsulated by the maxim, simple living and high thinking. Her loved ones, as we've heard before, would describe her as witty, soft-hearted, approachable, friendly, and humble. In this picture, we can see her sharing a lap with Dr. Pitkacharya, our guest of honor.
Forget not the Almighty who gave us this wonderful faculty to learn, progress, and befriend people. Memory moves around in ripples. And I am sure the ripples of her memory have moved thousands of lives, extending beyond the horizons of her exceptional lifetime. I take this time to thank Dr. Kamala on everyone's behalf for dedicating her life to this noble profession and the cause of shedding light on the unmet needs of special children. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to introduce such an exceptional person and in the field of neuroscience and neurology. Lastly, thank you all for coming. Let us honor the amazing legacy that she has left behind. That was a wonderful speech. Thank you so much, Ms. Joshita. I would like to call upon Dr. Sandhya Rupa Palit for giving us the introduction of our orator. Thank you, Dr. Divya Swaminathan. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and fellow listeners, a very good morning. I am Dr. Sandhya Palit, and I have the honor of introducing to you all our orator of the day, Dr. Lakshmi Narayanan. As we prepare to hear the insightful words of our distinguished orator, it is my privilege to provide a glimpse into their remarkable educational journey, a journey filled with just dedication, perseverance, and thirst for knowledge. For 16 years, he has been a beacon of hope for countless young patients and their families, providing compassionate care and innovative solutions to a range of neurological conditions affecting the children. Yes. Dr. Lakshmi Narayanan hails from a small town named Kattumannakoli in Kadalur district. He embarked on his educational voyage with a passion for medicine and neurosciences from the very beginning. His academic odyssey took him to the Government King Park Medical College, where he pursued his undergraduate study. Despite being from a Tamil medium school, Dr. Lakshmi Narayanan distinguished himself through his unwavering commitment and academic excellence. He went on to get a total of 8 gold medals during his MBBS course and was awarded the best outgoing student of his batch. After successfully completing his undergraduate studies, Dr. Lakshmi Narayanan continued to chart a path of excellence by pursuing MD Pediatrics in All India Institute of Medical Sciences. During his time there, his colleagues and juniors fondly remember him for his humility, practical approach to patients' problems, and his passion for teaching and helping others. In 2009, he assumed the role of Assistant Professor for Pediatrics at the Sri Ramchandra Medical College and Research Institute, where he began to shape young minds and impart his knowledge. He pursued his thirst for knowledge by returning to the All India Institute of Medical Sciences to attain a DM in pediatric neurology. Upon returning to Chennai, he joined Fortis Mala Hospital in 2013 as a consultant pediatric neurologist, a role which he began to make a tangible impact on young patients' lives. Not wanting to stop, he furthered his expertise at the Royal Children's Hospital in Australia, where he became a Ratzer Tobruk Fellow in Pediatric Epilepsy and EEG, followed by a year as a Neuroscience Clinical Research Fellow in Neurology Department. In 2016, he returned to Chennai, rejoining Fortis Mala Hospital as a consultant pediatric neurologist and epileptologist, further cementing his reputation as an expert in the field. He organized Pediatric Epilepsy Update 2017 in Chennai, where his mentor and one of the pioneers in epilepsy surgery for bottom of the sulcus dysplasia, Dr. Simon Harvey, participated in person. From 2018 to 2020, Dr. Lakshmi Narayanan extended his reach to the Rainbow Children's Hospital in Guinea, once again showcasing his commitment to providing specialized care to children. Since 2018, he has been serving as a senior consultant pediatric neurologist and epileptologist at the Green Eagles Global Health City Hospital and as a visiting consultant at the Children's Hospital in Chennai. Our distinguished guest, Dr. Lakshmi Narayanan, has made significant contributions to the field of pediatric neurology, uncontrolled epilepsy, MRI negative epilepsy, epilepsy surgery, stereo EEG, and autoimmune encephalitis, demonstrating a profound impact on the landscape of modern medicine. He has organized many EEG and video EEG courses, workshops, where eminent national faculty and delegates from all over India and even from Sri Lanka have participated. Dr. Lakshmi Narayanan is involved in patient advocacy activities, creating awareness about epilepsy and the unmet needs of the special children. Busting some of the false myths and beliefs, he encourages patients to overcome their disease. He regularly conducts free medical camps and provides subsidized and free medical care to the most needy. He has conducted many programs to sensitize school teachers regarding the seizure first aid. Dr. Lakshmi Narayanan and his colleagues have contributed significantly to the academic literature with numerous publications in esteemed journals, including Brain and the Annals of Neurology. Notably, they were pioneers in reporting the discovery of familial cortical dysplasia resulting from an NPRL3 gene mutation. This paper, among his extensive list of 25 papers and more, one of his notable publications focuses on the onset and propagation of seizures in tuberous sclerosis, with a particular emphasis on intracranial EEG analysis. This paper has been presented at numerous international conferences, showcasing his commitment to sharing groundbreaking research with the global medical community. He is a regular speaker at many national and international conferences. Dr. Lakshmi Narayanan is a passionate teacher. He has authored multiple chapters in pediatric textbooks on neurology. Dr. Lakshmi Narayanan is an active member of several renowned medical organizations, leveraging their affiliations to build a strong network of professional colleagues and organize informative workshops and disseminate valuable knowledge within the medical community. Beyond his illustrious career, he finds joy in the warmth of his family, his loving wife and cherished son, who provide him with unwavering support and inspiration in his life's work. His hobbies include travel, fitness, and photography. In conclusion, Dr. Lakshmi Narayanan is not only an expert in his field, but also a dedicated healer, a tireless advocate for his patients, and a visionary whose work continues to shape the landscape of pediatric neurology and neuroscience. Today, we have the privilege of hearing from him, not only as a result of his academic achievements, but also because of the wisdom and insights he has gained along his remarkable educational journey. I invite you all to listen closely and be inspired by the experiences and knowledge Dr. Lakshmi Narayanan has to offer to us today on the unmet needs of children, special children. Together we can do more. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sandhya. That was a very insightful introduction. Now, I request Professor Usha to say a few words and to present the Oration Medal to Dr. Lakshmi Narayanan.
A warm welcome to all of you and good morning to each and every one of you. It's a very poignant moment for me. There are two things I can tell, beginning and the end. The beginning part of it was welcome, in the sense that all the years that have gone by have been rolled back in such a way that the two of us, Dr. Kamala and myself, how we spent our life as siblings and from infancy to the day, till the day that we were together is something which is very, very memorable. You can't forget. And when she passed away, and when they met for and gave the condolences and all that, they said we can never forget Dr. Kamala. This is a very true statement that they have all expressed, because the way she had dedicated her entire life for the sake of neurology, the way she entered the neurology area was very interesting, in the sense she was a determined person, and said she was already holding a good position as the head of the pediatrics department, but she had a passion for neurology. And when she met the DME to say that I want to do this, they said, I think it was Dr. Lalita Kameshan who was the DME then. And that time she said, Kamala, you're already well placed as a pediatrician. Why do you want to go over? Because it will be on loss of pay. We'll give you just a stipend of 1,000 rupees also. So if I were in your place, I wouldn't do that. She advised her. I give you anyway. The seat is assured, but you will. I give you 2 days time. Think well and come whether you want to still continue your study in neurology. Yes, after 2 days, she was the even the 2 days were too long a time for her to go to the DME and say that I am determined to do the course. Then she said, it's all right, you can join. And she had a very nice, the student of neurology. She had all the interest and her passion to dwell more into that and deeper was something which was remarkable. And in our Shastras and all that, we have a scripture, a book, a holy book known as Harikatamrita Sara. And that it consists of about 1,500 shlokas, verses, and then 32 chapters. So that work deals with only the entire creation of man and the various systems which keep us alive. And she said, I want to combine this neurology that I learned and with those Shastric verses, and try to bring about a project in such a way that we all understand how grateful we should be to God for having given us this frame of this life, human being as a life. We have to appreciate the way in which the creation has been done. And her passion was not only for neurology, and of course, we all know that neurology has a connection with moods and events which happen, ups and downs in life and all that, with suffering humanity, all that is there, part of neurology. And she was so grateful to God that that He has given her the capacity to heal the patients in such a way by consoling them, the way in which you talk to them, and particularly when she used to handle the children. And one other thing that was very prominent with meant to be mentioned is that whenever she goes for the conferences, national or international conferences, she used to say that both of us go. I won't be at peace if I leave you out and come and describe what all I felt there, what all I enjoyed there. So let's make both of us should make that trip, she used to say. I was working in the college. I was a professor of economics and head of the department, and then later retired as principal of from the government colleges. And so I also used to apply for the NOC and all that, and go along with her for and in Germany. And they used to, for all the accomplishments that she used to be so humble and such a simple person that even people may sometimes doubt whether she is a doctor. In the sense that she was very simple, but all the knowledge was inside her. the same and pray. And God, she was ever grateful to God. Whenever the day's work after, when she goes for work, she has a prayer of her own, which I have brought it out in her poem collection of poems that I have, that you will find in the library in BHS. And she would say, with that, beginning with that prayer, and when coming out after, when she has seen done with the patients for the day, she would say, "Thank God, you have given me the opportunity to be of a little help to the suffering patient, and I'm thankful to you, God." That is the way in which she used to end the day's work. And I mean, it can go along with a number of incidents which have come. And she was also a great, very soft at heart. And nobody, if anyone says that I'm poor, and when working in the, she was also in the children's hospital, and she was the first lady pediatric neurologist for the post that was created by the Ministry of Health. At that time, Dr. Hande was the Minister of Health, and he created the post, and she was the first one to be posted in the Egmont Children's Hospital. And she had a very fine time, and number of friends. We used to get all the doctors, her colleagues at home, and we used to have number of parties and games and things like that, and enjoyed life like anything. And our parents, I have to mention about my dear parents who have given, who are so very so wide in their in way in which they brought us up, and the good part of how we should come up in life is something which we are, where we have got the lessons from our parents. And of course, everything is when it comes to an end, it is a very poignant moment. It's only in the memory that we find, but we have always a belief that the soul never dies, and the interest she had for the subject and the way in which she was dealing with the humanity and the suffering people is something which is I'm sure her spirit would have already come before even any one of us have arrived for the program. And that was, I'm sure about it, and I feel her presence in the sense that she can't be separated from neurology. That much of interest she had, and she had dedicated her life itself for the sake of this academic pursuits. And the, the event that has been carried on here is something which has been done with such great care and love for the person. I'm very touched about the way in which they have done it. And when as Dr. Anil Pandey said, I met him and Dr. Vasudevan because when she passed away, all her papers were just lying in the cupboard. I used to tell her we should do something to get it, put it in the limelight and see that it is used by students of medicine for wherever reference work and things like that. And she said we'll do it one day, and somehow this event actually happened suddenly. So I was at my wit's end. And then one day I thought I should not leave it like that. All the papers should be correctly dealt with great reverence, because her heart and soul were put into every line, every alphabet of the paper that she has. Just now you saw the list of publications that she had done it, and the chapters that were that. And the one thing when she used to say, because we were only two of us, no brothers or other sisters, and she used to tell, "Oh, take up medicine, take up this thing." But her colleague was also there along with her, and when she said, she had brought her son home, and when she told the boy to take up medicine after his PUC and all that, that boy said, "Oh, you doctors, the way in which you carry such huge books is beyond me. I will not do it, because you get a girl when you marry me, when you may arrange for my marriage, you get a daughter-in-law who has done her medicine. So don't put the blame on me." And you can get a daughter-in-law and get pleased by her being there as a doctor in the household. So that is the way in which she was actually pleading for medicine and giving her prepared to give her life, which she had actually done. And even in not speak of she had seen papers and at such that she gave those and very satisfied other members. And I just thank Dr. Anil Pandey and Vasudevan and all his staff members who have taken such great care and love in this event management, and her legacy that she has left behind is well taken care of. And I'm sure the students from students medicine can always come to this institute. This institute we chose because Dr. Sanjeevi was a good family friend of ours, and both of them, Kamala and Dr. Sanjeevi, had once met, and he said, "Kamala, if you can spare some time for social work, I'll be too glad to take you up," he said. And of course, she was such a disciplinarian that she said, "I'm in government service. While I'm as long as I'm a government employee, I should not be transgressing the rules and all that. So I asked permission for doing some social work in my out of office hours," she had said. That of course there was not much of an accommodation for that. No permission was given because they said that you are not supposed to earn anything. It was a mere social service, not even with an honorarium. So she said it's only to give my time that I applied this. She said. But anyway, Dr. Sanjeevi had said, "Doesn't matter, Kamala, you're always there in our heart, and we respect the way in which you have been dealing with patients, whether in the public sector or private sector, whatever it is, you are doing very good work," and all that. They used to praise her. And I'm very happy that Dr. Lakshmi Narayanan has been chosen as the founder speaker for this endowment oration. And he is and Dr. Anil Pandey was very particular to get a pediatric neurologist, and we took quite a long time to get such an expert of a person. He is gem of a person who has equally contributed and young, and still a great future lies before him. And I'm sure he is going to give us a very good lecture, which will be helpful to humanity. And I am very thankful to him for having accepted this invitation from us. And Dr. Anil Pandey and their staff, I wish them all a great strength from day to day to conduct such things, and thank all the viewers who have come, and our near and dear friends. Some of the very familiar faces I find, and they must have worked with her or as students or colleagues. And I'm very thankful for all my near and dear who have come to attend this function. Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you so much.
Without you.
Very good morning, one and all here. So the next 40 minutes or so, we'll be talking about what are the unmet needs of special children, and how do we go about them, and how do we improve the care and outcomes. This is one of the topic very close to my heart. So I'm happy that I'm able to talk about this amongst you. Slide change or what? Slide change, please. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhino, Sarve Santu Ramaya, which means may everyone be happy and healthy. May everyone be free of illness. So that is the noble thought with which we'll be talking about the actual topic. So we all know all children are special. Children go through certain developmental milestones. A 6-month-old child should be doing certain things. A 1-year-old child should be doing certain things. A 2-year-old should be doing certain things. So this is a standard normative we have for children. When there is any deviation from this normal, what we define, what we call normal, then we call it as developmental delay. So when all the children are special, when a child is special to the family and to the parents, when do we call a child a special child? Which is a very important definition. A special child is the one who deviates from the normal child in the mental, physical, emotional, social characteristics to an extent that he or she requires a special interventions, therapy, or special educational service. Conventional rights of persons with disabilities define special child as children with disabilities include those who have long-term physical, mental, intellectual, sensory impairment, which can cause barrier and hinder the overall development potential of the child. So the magnitude is huge. Up to 15% of the world population has some or the other form of disability, and 150 million children worldwide has disabilities, and 80% of them reside in developing countries. But they are not the problems. The problem is as the so-called normal people, because the society excludes them. Society looks at them at a different level than the other normal children. So there are 4 major types of disabilities, with physical disability and in the form of muscular dystrophy, multiple sclerosis, any other physical disability, cerebral palsy. Developmental disability, Down syndrome, the most common, autism, dyslexia. Behavioral disabilities can be attention deficit disorder, bipolar disorder. Sensory impairment can be visual or hearing impaired child. So all these are the 4 major disabilities, and there are various different types of childhood disabilities that we have, starting from autism spectrum disorder to severe traumatic brain injury, severe multiple disabilities. So the major chunk of these disabilities include intellectual disability, which is the major portion, and the other major disabilities being autism, cerebral palsy, and epilepsy. Together, these 4 categories make up more than 3/4 of the patients with the special needs that we come across. So when you go into the causes of why do these special children manifest, why do these diseases manifest, there are so many different causes that can be, hundreds of causes, which we have just categorized in few categories like genetic factors, prenatal factors, natal, postnatal factors, can be congenital or acquired. So major causes for autism include genetic, prenatal, parental age, information, maternal causes, and more importantly, the environmental exposure. I'll come to the environmental exposure towards the end of this presentation. The most important causes for genetic cerebral palsy include both genetic and environmental causes. The special needs children can have various different needs, which can be categorized as medical needs, the medical treatment. There can be behavior needs, mental health interventions and mental health needs can be there, learning problems which needs a special education, and developmental needs, which includes developmental neurobehavioral therapy. So all these different needs can be categorized and can be handled, managed in different ways, which we'll be elaborately discussing today. When you come across a child with cerebral palsy or child with autism, there are so many different comorbidities that you can think about, because this is not a single disease. Cerebral palsy is not a single disease. It's a group of disorders which are commonly manifested by motor, tone, and ambulatory abnormalities. Likewise, autism spectrum disorder is not a single disease. It only manifests as a core symptoms of problems in communication, speech, and socialization. But apart from the core features and core symptoms, they have so many different comorbidities, including behavioral problems like hyperactivity, inattention, agitation, aggression, language impairment, intellectual disability, anxiety, severe constipation, epilepsy, and seizure disorder. So, one child having so many different problems can complicate the whole picture. So many times it is not uncommon for the parents and the families to get overwhelmed. It's not just one disease. They have so many different problems at so many different organ levels, so many different symptoms, so many different problems that can show up. So each day it's like a new day for them. They'll be anticipating what is going to happen today, what's going to happen. So it's a very complex problem, but when you come to an expert, then we try to simplify the whole thing, try to make them understand what is what, then we take it along. So the problem can be very overwhelming, both for the doctor, for the healthcare giver, as well as for the family. But we need to keep in mind, we need to simplify things and keep it going. Reasons for a child throwing a tantrum or a bad behavior can be multiple. Many times, as a simplistic thinking, we say child is naughty. But we know anything in life is not that simple. So a child who throws some tantrum can be due to various different problems. Can be a sensory processing disorder, can be a need for parental connection or societal connection, or that he has an unmet need that is not fulfilled, has anxiety, is tired, hungry. So there can be so many different reasons and explanations why a child behaves in a way that he or she behaves. So we need to understand each child in an individualistic. We cannot simplify the model. We cannot call it everything a naughty child or everything just hyperactivity. So we look at the holistic development of the individual. We don't just look at a patient who comes to us with a headache, a patient who comes to us with a seizure or epilepsy. We don't just look at the symptom and treat just the symptom. We try to look at the holistic development of the child, which includes emotional, social, intellectual, spiritual, moral, and physical well-being of the child as well as the family. So this kind of holistic developmental approach we take as pediatric neurologists and pediatric neurologists who is working in the area of special needs children. One of the most important impediment for the understanding of the illness, for the acceptance of the diagnosis, for continuing with the medical treatment can be this, the gap between the expectation and the reality. We try to keep this gap to the minimum because the expectations can be so much, but the reality can be here. So the gap between the expectation and reality should be narrowed, should be matched. There should not be any mismatch between these two. This is the single most important problem facing any parent who comes across that their child is not developing normally. So the first and foremost job of a physician who is taking care of a child with a special need is we try to make the gap between the reality and the expectations narrow to the possible limits. We do that by setting what is the current level of the child. what are the current problems of the child, why this is happening, what is the kind of disease that we are handling. So this is through communication and repeated counseling and having the discussion about the disease. Then what are the things that is expected? The simplistic model will expect the thing go in a straight line, linear, but we know nothing in life is such a linear relationship. In life is much more complex and curvilinear and logistic than just a simplistic linear model. So this is one of the most important first step, I would say, especially when a child comes to any physician at the first contact. And many times this may not go as smoothly as we expect. So the whole purpose of this is basically to, next slide please. So basically we have to keep this gap narrow. Why? Because unrealistic expectation and the constant hoping can lead on to chronic unhappiness. So we have to set this right at the beginning so that everyone is on the same page, including the physician, doctor, pediatrician, neurologist, and the physiotherapist, occupational therapist, speech therapist, and the family. We all need to be in the same page. So for that, we do individualized plan. As I told you, this is a individual disease, and each child is different, each brain is different, each child is going to go through a different trajectory from the point which we are encountering. So just a cross-sectional approach will not help. We need to have a longitudinal approach. By that we mean many times parents come to me with a 1-month-old child has some problem, which we recognize as could be a high risk factor for future developmental delay, cerebral palsy, or autism. But at 1 month, no one can predict you with accuracy what is going to happen to the child. So cross-sectional examination at 1 month of age for that newborn baby will give you only limited information. I understand the parents' anxiety for the future. I understand the parents' unanswered questions, but we need to understand this limitation. 1-month-old child, there is no way any human being can predict the whole trajectory, how it is going to be for next 5 years, if not for next 20 years. So this is the real human limitation of the current science and current understanding of the disease. So we need to see the same child at 3 months of age, 6 months, 12 months, 1.5 years, 3 years, 5 years, so that we'll understand what is happening. And in the meanwhile, we cannot just stop doing nothing, just observing, because the treatment has to simultaneously go on. So this is the single most important task and the difficulty and getting across the message that single point cross-sectional examination, especially early in life, is not very much accurate in predicting the future. We need to continue to monitor the child, at the same time continue to provide the care which is needed, treatment which is needed at each developmental stage of the child. So we do individualized plan and we do short-term goals, because long-term goals, as I told you, may not be very much easy to do. So short-term goals we do and focus on the immediate future, which is important. Many times parents ask me, sir, how will I pursue the school education? The child is only 6 months old. So now is not the time to look at the school education or school admission or school. Now let us look at the next 6 months ahead. When will my child sit up? When will my child stand up? That is the immediate task that that's how I should be looking at, rather than which school I should be enrolling my child. Especially when a child is only 6 months old, especially we are having some concerns about the development or some concerns about the physical and the psychological well-being of the child. So I would recommend to the parents that focus on the immediate future. Don't think too much into the distant long-term future. And focus on the next achievable milestone. If a child is sitting up, not able to stand, the focus should be on how to make the child stand. If the child is standing but not walking, our focus should be on how to make the child walk. Because the neurodevelopmental milestone go through a certain same set of structured milestones. A child who is not sitting is not going to walk without sitting. So this is very basic fundamental. So we look at focusing on the next achievable milestone rather than talking about school admission at that point. So we need to basically split the task into smaller actions, because when the task is so much, when it is so difficult, easily you can get overwhelmed and easily you can get paralyzed and numb and not do anything. So you need to, both as the caregiver, both as a family, as a physician, and as a therapist, we need to dissect these, split these, a huge task in front of us to smaller action points, so that we can focus on it and take actions based on that. So we need to keep working towards the goal. What we have set out, every day we need to work towards that goal. Then it is achieved. And in this period, it is a long-term treatment. It's a long-term regular follow-up with one physician who you believe is the best for that. So you have to have a periodic reassessment. Many times this happens. A child I met 5 years ago, they came for the first assessment, they vanished. After 5 years, now they come back. By the time the window of opportunity for doing anything is completely gone. In the 5 years, they wouldn't have done a proper physiotherapy, they wouldn't have done a proper proven scientific treatment, they would have done everything else. For a child who is now 5.5 years old, that 5 crucial years have been lost. And no human nature, no human being in the world can give you back that 5 years. Okay. So that is why it is very important for us to have a reassessment periodic and replan and set the goal again and again. In special needs children, it is not correct in saying, okay, we diagnosed cerebral palsy at 2 years of age and you have a home program, just go do home physiotherapy, come back after 2 years, will reassess. This doesn't happen in any special type. Leave alone autism or cerebral palsy, which needs a regular revisits, regular periodic reassessments. What is happening? We set a goal, we set out, do such certain things. What happened to that after 3 months? Is it at the trajectory that we are expecting? Are we on the right track still, or are we deviating from our path that we set out to follow? So this is very, very, very important. Many times it's easy to forget this. So most important part of caring for special children is this, the right philosophy and keeping the clear focus on task at hand. It's easier said than done. And my mantra for this is keep it simple. Previously, I enumerated so many things saying that this is not simple, this is very complex. I know. But the thing is, you have to keep it simple. Things are already complicated. Let us not complicate it further. Life is already complicated. Let us not complicate it further. One saying is, like, half the problems that human beings face is mostly self-made. Half the problems that we face is mostly self-made. The moment we don't complicate things further, the things are simple. So that is most important thing. Many times today's age, Google and digital media and information overload, I have come to that in a moment. So with this, what happens? People go into micromanaging everything. They want to have control about everything. This is the human psychology. We want to have control over our lives, but the nature is not so much. We have control over very few things in the overall universe, if you know that. So micromanaging and trying to change everything is not going to be the solution. Don't complicate things further. Things can only improve from here. A child who comes to me for the first time with a spasticity, risk of autism, or risk of development delay and cerebral palsy, I tell them, see, this is the current situation. Look at it in the future, it can only get better than this. Here we are looking at special children, autism, cerebral palsy, those kind of static encephalopathies, what we call. We are not looking at neurodegenerative progressive disorders. So most of the special needs children have a static encephalopathy or a problem that is there with little bit improvements every time. So over time, it improves with proper treatment. So in these children, the things can only get better provided you stick to the plan. For that, we need to do certain things in certain way. We can't sit back, okay, doctor has told, it's only going to improve. I'll just sit back, relax, sleep off, and then go to the doctor after 2 years. That doesn't happen. So for that to improvements to come, so you have to do certain things. That's very important. And the improvement, there can be multiple different trajectories of improvement. What is the real potential achievable for that particular individual child, that can be achieved provided you are able to follow certain things. And finally, it all depends on the cooperation and understanding of the parents and the whole family, which is very, very, very important. We are ready to provide the utmost care and utmost standard care which is possible in this world today. But if the family is not ready to accept, the family parents are not fully on the same page, then we know the results are going to be not that much what we would wish for. It's very easy to go by the free advice we get, and this is plentiful available in India, but many times that proves costly in a negative way for the family. So for this complex needs, complex problem, we need to have a positive attitude, which I believe is the only thing that makes the difference to the child. So we need to take small steps, small interventions go a long way. Many times when parents come to us, they expect some magic bullet. They expect some miracle. They expect something that can be done one time and everything. I understand that point, but the nature of the disease is such that there is no one single intervention. It's not a surgically curable disease. I refer to a neurosurgeon and he does a surgery and everything comes back to normal. That's not what we are talking about today. In special needs children, the interventions are going to be small incremental steps. There is no single medication, there is no single investigation, there is no single intervention, there is no single surgical cure. So that's what we are doing. So we have to take small steps, and a little progress each day makes a big results in the future. So let us take the little steps. An example for this is a child we saw for the first time, and you can see how much spasticity, easiness, the legs are on the toes, and then it's interned. So just by simple approach of teaching the parents how you can handle the child, what are the pressure points you have to touch, and what is the way to handle the child, what is the way to make the child stand. Within few minutes, this is not after any intervention or medication or anything. This is by simple showing them, demonstrating them what is the right way of handling, touching, or handling the child, and how to make the child very back. In next few minutes from this position, which is not very pleasant for the child, to this position, which is a little bit more comfortable both for the child as well as for the parents. So this is a simple step which is very much possible. Doesn't need any high-fi rocket science, right? And then we go on to the next steps, providing a proper AFO, ankle foot orthosis with the shoes, then the proper posture can be made. If you just leave it like this will only get worse and worse and worse. The problem already is there, but by doing this, we are worsening the problem. So this is what I say, by keep it simple, don't complicate it further. So for this, a doctor alone cannot deliver. This needs a multidisciplinary approach. So we involve all the surround specialties, auxiliary specialties which are needed for that particular child. So medical treatment is my specialty, but there is a need for psychologists, child psychiatrists whenever they need to get intervened, and the nutritional expert important, occupational therapy, physiotherapy, and the speech therapies, all the rehabilitation specialists need to be fully on board. So this is a completely a teamwork. So no single person can achieve everything. So we need to work together with the family, with the child to achieve what we want to achieve. Say for example, multiple treatment options are available for cerebral palsy, including medications which are needed if it is needed, and some surgeries can be needed for some patients. Before that, we need to have a proper rehabilitation therapy, and alternative medication can have some role, and the equipments like ankle foot orthosis and other orthoses which are needed. So this needs multiple different specialties involved, and there is a cross-talk communication and consultations going on all the time. So coming to medical treatment, what are the treatment possible for medication wise? Many times this is a very touchy topic, especially in the current era of mistrust and misinformation, which is much more than the right information which is available in this digital era. So, but having said that, the medical treatment, the medications, the drugs are very, 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 very essential part of a treatment for any child who has a complex needs. And this is the only way to alleviate certain symptoms. You can't do without this particular. After so many years of handling many of these families and children with special care needs, we are very attuned to the needs of the children. We are very sensitive about these needs of the children. So we carefully choose the medication which is needed, and we are very judicial in our use of medication. But it is natural for the parents to get anxious the moment you mention that your child needs a medication to make the hyperactivity better, to make the child sit and listen. Then it can be a little bit a tough conversation initially, but eventually many parents come across. When benefits are far outweighing the risks, that is when we try to prescribe a medication. We take these things in a very serious manner, and we do these after a thorough, thoughtful consultation within ourselves, because this is very, very, very important conversation we have with them. So, for example, spasticity, dystonia, tremors, ataxia, chorea, all these are brain-related altered movements pattern. So these need medication. Without medication, this cannot be controlled unless this is so mild or transient, which is rare. And seizures and epilepsy, you all know, without medication, most of these seizures and epilepsy cannot be cured or cannot be controlled. So you need medication, anti-seizure medication, which is the treatment of choice initially. Hyperactivity, bad behavior, and other things, we try to manage without medication initially. We do a lot of other things before we go on to prescribe medication. But take it from me, if it is not manageable, hyperactivity, if you treat with medication, that changes entire trajectory of the child. Without that, any amount of intervention in the form of therapy is not going to work. Say, for example, I'm talking here, you're all listening carefully, then the message is getting across. A hyperactive child who is all the time distracted, restless, who is not able to focus attention even 1 second, how does 1 hour of speech therapy work? Doesn't work. So the listening is the single most important step before a child can learn anything. So listening is single most important faculty before you try to teach a child anything. So this is very, very important aspect. It's usually neglected and usually not given much importance. The listening, the concentration, the attention part. And sleep regulation, insomnia. If the child has not slept previous night, it's very natural the child will not have a concentration, attention, and will be all the time irritable and will not listen to the therapist. So again, which is just by simply regulating the sleep properly, of the daytime behavior problems can be controlled much better. So these are simple intervention what I'm talking about. I don't talk about big things. I always talk about simple things. So this is one child. You can see another one. No one can. Close your eyes. Wait. Because holding is going to. Okay. Open your eyes. Look at your right. So this is the child who came to us from Sudan in 2018. This is actually after partial treatment. These videos are actually after partial treatment. But you can see when he's walking, the video. Can you play the video? Yeah. So when he's walking, he has a severe dystonia, generalized dystonia, and his neck would go. This is actually after partial improvement. The initial time when I first met him, he cannot make the head erect. He used to keep the hand to make the head erect. All the time it will be like severe retropolis, severe neck dystonia backwards. So that was the condition. So for this, we adjusted the medication and okay, so that video is not playing very well. So this is after 3 years. So she was planned for deep brain stimulation because it's a very severe deadline dystonia. Deep brain stimulation is one procedure where you put in electrode in the deeper part of the brain and stimulate, and you make this dystonia much better. But this family initially was not very willing or not affording for the deep brain stimulation initially. So that pushed us to desperate measures of trying out different medication. So at the end, it's a genetic dystonia in this case. And at the end, after 2-3 years, they were so comfortable with the medication alone, they decided not to go ahead with the deep brain stimulation. So this video basically he took after 3 years of the initial treatment from Sudan. He sent this video through WhatsApp to me. So basically, you can in this it's not very well projected. You can see the child is completely normal walking without any dystonia of the neck. So this was just by medications only. So this is a genetic condition he had. So this is a generalized dystonia, childhood onset dystonia 28. That is this is name and this is the gene. And he was on these 3 medications only: clonidine, clonazepam, and trihexyphenidyl. Multiple different titrations of these medications, and of course, multiple other medications are tried in between. Finally, we came to a fine balance of these. With who could not walk without holding their head like this. Now he is completely normal walking. Has a little bit of in that video, if that projected very well, you will see has a little bit of tremors and dystonia of the right hand. But apart from that, he is completely normal child, standing and walking. In that video, he says that I'm very happy, I'm very pleased, I'm leading my normal life, like that he talks. So this is basically a titration of medication. This is the clinical judgment, and this is the power of the medicines when it is required, when it is given in the right appropriate doses, the right medication for the right patient can achieve this. So for some of you who are so much skeptical about medication treatment, there are many patients we treat with simple medication. These are simple medications for use for dystonia. So this can be achieved. So depends on the philosophy of your doctor, depends on the experience of the doctor, depends on the patients that you have. To come to this kind of dose, of course, we went through 20 different dose regimes, combinations, iterations before we come to this point. So this is another instant. This child you can see standing with a bent posture. This is called crouched posture. This is a spastic diplegic cerebral palsy. You can see the different problems. There's a spasticity of the hamstring that is causing the tightening of the knee and multiple deformities of the feet. So this is the child before treatment, and this is the same child after treatment. You can see her knees are completely straight here. What was bent here is completely straight. Okay, this is after a few months of treatment. What did we do? We did treat the spasticity. In most patients with cerebral palsy, the problem is not the weakness, the problem is the spasticity. You just keep on stretching, not going to do much. You have to treat the spasticity properly by oral medication and intensive physiotherapy. Just some physiotherapy done by parents at home, passive stretching alone is not enough. This is one of the common misperceptions. Many times pediatricians, physicians, and families have this. Okay, my child is diagnosed as cerebral palsy. I'll learn physiotherapy in one day, go home, do the stretching repeatedly at home for next 2-3 years. My child will. This is not happening. This is a common misperception for that patient. And many doctors have this misperception. Okay, you're diagnosed with cerebral palsy, can't do anything more. You have to just do some stretching, just sit at home. This is not the case. You can make so much difference to the child by doing proper intensive physiotherapies by very well qualified and experienced physiotherapists, and do proper oral medication to correct spasticity, correct appliances in the form of ankle foot orthosis. Some of you might think just they have put the orthosis, that's why the child is straight. Not so, because the arthrosis is below knee. The actual problem was at the knee or above knee level. So this will not correct above knee. So for that, we gave botulinum toxin injection local muscle mass. So all these interventions together, a bundle of package of these interventions together with multiple hours of hard work by a very well experienced physiotherapist doing intensive physiotherapy post Botox injection can build this. This is tough, this is not easy job, but can be achieved. Many times we get stuck at this point. When you first divulge the diagnosis of a special needs child, the first question parents ask, without even going into what is the disease, what is the nature of the disease, what is the nature of the natural history, how do we go about? The first question they ask, is it cured? Unfortunately, the answer is not straightforward. Answer is not simple. So many times the diseases what we are talking about may not be completely curable with a single intervention. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that the child cannot improve. That is the point. We should stay away from this first question, the first instance. The right question should be, how should I make my child better? That is the first question we ask. Rather than is it curable? Because the cure is not there, at least not there at that point. Once you make the child improve, finally the cure may not be needed. The child is completely improved version to the near normal. That is possible to many children, especially those children who are mild to moderate affected. It is possible that they can be near normals. But that is improvement, it is not cure. Because cure only means complete restoration of health, return to normal self, disease is completely eliminated, and normal life experience. This is the cure. This is a different definition for cure. But the nature of the disease by itself, what we discussed about the genetic, the malformation, the traumatic brain injury, the severity of the trauma, severity of the neuroinfection, which are the common causes for special needs children, which cannot be eradicated. The disease per se cannot be eradicated, but the symptoms which manifest due to the disease can be much better alleviated, much better improved over time. So we need to shift our focus from cure to the care, because the cure or care depends on the disease. It doesn't depend on the family or the doctor. It depends on the disease. So disease is already existent when you start this point. So the disease you cannot change, right? Many diseases affecting special children cannot be completely cured, but improved to a great extent over time. So the treatment is long term, and there are no one-time interventions, and care usually provided as a symptomatic relief. Each and every symptom we analyze, we provide symptom relief for each and everything, then you can achieve much better. So by doing this, we do a lot of risk versus benefit analysis before we do any kind of intervention. As the doctors or physicians, we are well trained to do this benefit analysis every time we try to do any intervention, medical interventions. In today's era, this is a fashion. Work, do it yourself. We are trying to do it ourselves. Most of the things, our home needs, home care products, all that, do it yourself. You get one hair dye, apply it yourself, do it yourself. So we get so much into do it yourself. Many people nowadays try to do the medicine also do it yourself. That is so dangerous. I'm not exaggerating. Recently we came across a man who tried to deliver his wife at home, do it yourself. You know what happened, what would happen. So this is there all the time. This is the extreme version I'm telling you, but the milder version is there all the time. We come across patients, milder version of do it yourself all the time. The worst form of this do it yourself is, sir, my child is not started speaking by 2 years. We thought he would talk by 4 years. We thought he can talk by 6 years. So they don't even come to the medical attention by 5 years of this. A speech delay or hyperacuity or inattention or autism, which can be diagnosed at 1.5 years, 2 years, which can be completely improved by 5 years, now comes to attention at 5 years only for the first time. So this is because they think it is not. They think it can be over time, can be shut. Right? So the do it yourself is very dangerous in medicine. Through this, audience, I would like to get across this message. For any medical needs, don't try to do it yourself. Of course, we as doctors or we as healthcare professionals are here to help you and serve you. So one simple opinion, doctor, whether it's a normal speech delay or is it anything else, will not cost you that much. Okay. So don't try to do it yourself. So what we do in physiotherapy, we try to do very inclusive, many times individualized care. Sometimes we try to do the group therapy. So intensive physiotherapy is the need of the hour for most patients with physical developmental problems. And there is a dose concept in physiotherapy. When you give a paracetamol to a child with high fever, you understand the dose concept. Say, for example, your child needs 5 ml of paracetamol dose to reduce that fever. If you give only 1 ml, what happens? It's not effective. Where you need 5 ml, you have to give 5 ml to reduce that symptom of fever to go down. If you give 1 ml instead of 5 ml, it doesn't work. So this is very easy to understand when it comes to a medicine which can be measured in it. But when it comes to physiotherapy, this dose concept is very difficult to understand. So this is why I was saying, you sit at home, do the stretching, many years of this is not going to work. Because this is like you providing 1 ml when it is actually 5 ml which is required. The 5 ml is the intensive physiotherapy that can be provided only by a trained, well experienced, well qualified physiotherapist only. So this is the dose concept in physiotherapy. Many times you just keep on doing the underdose, which is not. Okay. So child physiotherapy is not just stretching, and home physiotherapy alone doesn't work. So you have to get an intensive proper therapy. So this is the 5 R of any medication. So you have to choose the right patient for the right drug, and you have to give the right dose and the right route and right time. So this be this. Which patient needs which kind of physiotherapy, how much, how frequently, how long. So this is the area of expertise of a physician and experienced physiotherapist. So without doing that, underdose, because this is a common complaint. Doctor, I've been giving physiotherapy for last 3 years, not seeing much results. So I don't want to go through your physiotherapy when you are prescribing a proper physiotherapy. Because they have completely lost the trust without even trying it properly. So this is the problem of underdose. So you have to give the dose properly when you expect proper improvements. Play the video, please. Yeah. So basically, in physiotherapy, we literally take baby steps along with our babies. So this is a lot of patience, lot of experience, lot of child friendliness to achieve this kind of sustained effort from the patient. It's not first day that you get. This is after so many days of developing a rapport with that small baby that we take baby steps. So this is a very dedicated, very demanding job, and these are kudos to all the physiotherapists, all the special care children carers, all the occupational therapists, speech therapists who are here. This is very well dedicated, hard work that you are doing. This is one area, the physiotherapy, all the special care needs children therapies. This is one area where the women power is far outshined. This is one area where we can clearly see if a woman with patience, dedication, hard work, which can put both in the form of mother as well as in the form of the therapist, this can go along. This is one area where the women power is clearly outshone in any other field. Because without this hard working of the therapists, this kind of improvements is not possible. So this is another child, again spasticity. This is one kind of a special suit which he is wearing along with the proper appliances, AFO, and you can see the comfort and you can see the happiness both in the child's face as well as the therapist's face. And this needs a lot of hours of child-friendly rapport that you create with the child. You get the trust of the child so that they cooperate. Without the child's cooperation, you won't be able to do much in the therapy. And whenever it's appropriate, we try to do only not only the physical therapy, we try to stimulate all the five senses and try to do group therapy when they are at that level, when they are needed, when it is needed for that particular child. Finally, this is another forgotten approach, family therapy. So for one child, previously it is called for one child to be reared, the whole village needs to get to work. Now it is especially for a special child, this is very true. The whole family support is very, 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 very important. Many times what we come across, previously also just mentioned, only the mother comes with the child and the mother is left alone to handle this battle. So that is not the ideal way to do this. The whole family has to support her, taking turns. And many times I tell the fathers who accompany the patients, you need to also learn the physiotherapy. You do in the evening, the mother do in the morning, because you have to do twice daily proper physiotherapy to get the results. So it's not one person which all the time does, apart from the household chores and all the other things of other child, all the other things, other alone cannot do this. So this needs entire family. When we get the best outcomes, we know that the family support has been there. Without that family support, the best outcomes we have never achieved. So we need to educate the whole family, bring in the whole family and teach them the techniques, and each one of them should take a little bit of interest and involvement, then only we can achieve. So home-based program, the main philosophical difference, that's why emphasis on the philosophy. In most of the rehabilitation centers, the children are taken inside alone, the parents are not taught most of the therapies at all. But the good centers or the right philosophy centers, they take in the parents along with the child inside and teach the parents what are the kind of therapies they need to do at home. Because you are doing trials in the therapy center, many parents themselves expect, okay, that is done. Physiotherapy part is done, occupational therapy part is done. No, it is not done. You have to understand what is being done and you have to continue that same thing at home at least twice daily, then only it is done. So the home-based program is many times neglected part of the whole rehabilitation. And when we are trying to institute this, the outcomes are much better than doing it by the physiotherapist alone. So you might think it is a little bit contradictory. Initially he said when it is only done at home, it is not effective. Now he is saying it should be done in the home also. These are two different things. Without supervised physiotherapy, without physiotherapy doing physiotherapy, home alone therapy for prolonged time, not effective. But when you do intermittent physiotherapy, weekly 3 or 5 sessions with the physiotherapist and constitute that, complement that with the home-based therapy all the days, multiple daily, then it is. So it is a complement. It should not be replacing one or the other. So we all know the one size fits all doesn't work in special needs children, and all the intervention should be very individualized and tailor-made for that particular child so that it is very effective. For that, we need to diagnose the child earliest. This is the starting point. If we diagnose autism at 10 years of age, not much can be done by that time. Everything is well set. All the behaviors are well set. All the habits are well set by 10 years of age. You can't change that much at all. So we need to diagnose autism at 2 years of age to be of any help. So early diagnosis is the most critical point, and this paves way for early intervention. And so that the crucial time is saved, there is a golden period for the child development, which is very, very, very important. It's a window which is in the first 2 to 3 years of age. It should not be missed. So you can get better outcome. I'll give you one example of the earliest diagnosis. This newborn baby I met at day 2 of life with a small seizure, neonatal seizure in the neonatal ICU, right? And we evaluated and found that this child had a perinatal stroke, what we call. This white portion is the portion of the brain which is damaged, what we call stroke. This is the infarct. And you can see the infarct is near the motor cortex here. So this is exactly near the hand now. So if we didn't do much, the child, this is left side of the brain. So the right hand function would be hemiparetic, will not be much better. So we caught this child at 3 days of life because it came to our attention because he had a neonatal seizure, right? So this family is so very well motivated, so very well cooperative, and the mother is so much hardworking and awesome. And with the help of our senior physiotherapist, Mrs. Rashmi Goyal is here. So this child underwent early intervention from the first month of life because we diagnosed the earliest period. So this is the outcome after 3 years of age. You can see that child. Sorry again, that's not expected. So basically, what you will see, the child has a very fine bilateral hand movements. What was initially thought, he will have a right hemiparesis for that kind of big infarct, and the infarct is very near the hand knob, very near the motor cortex. So this hand function is completely normal for this child. So this is what can when you diagnose early and the family is with you and you have a very good physiotherapist with you and the family is very well motivated, dedicated to completely improve the child, this is what can. So this is the best outcome that is possible that we can do, but this is minority, I will tell you. Not all my patients are like this. Because many times the diagnosis is late and there is a partial involvement by the family. So these are the two most important determinants, I would say. So this is one important slide, because when a child with autism comes to me at 5 years of age, when I ask, who is your pediatrician? Yes, doctor, you have been telling a pediatrician. Child has a speech delay. So speech level problem. 2 years, 2 years, sorry. 3 years, 3 years is better. So many times this is not the problem of the parents. Many times it's the problem of the healthcare provider themselves. They have not picked up the autism. This is a very common effect. The pediatricians have ignored the speech delay initial period. They have given the vaccines, they have given the all other services, fever, cold, cough, all that medication has been given, but the speech delay was ignored. By the time patient land to us, it is 5 years of age. By the time the golden period of the child development window is already passed. So it's a responsibility of all of us, including physicians, including neighbors, including relatives, to tell if there is a doubt, go to the right specialist, check it out, whether it is a normal or it's just one consultation is enough to do. So in early intervention, we do a lot of different interventions possible. So it's the right time that we pick up and what is the need of the each intervention for that particular individual child we assess, and we do appropriate interventions, appropriate developmental age. So this is very, 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 very important. Early intervention by definition means you do all these special services and therapies before they enter school age. This is the early intervention. How early should be the early intervention? That I showed 1 month can be started. 1 month of newborn age can be started. So coming to the inclusive education, this is one important topic. Many parents, like before this oration, before this talk, I asked many of the parents who have special children to get the inputs. What are the topics that you want me to do? I spoke to many parents. They all suggested inclusive education should be definitely highlighted and talked about, because many schools are there, inclusive schools, but the inclusive is only in the name. So it's not like normal schools, they just put the inclusive school as the name, but nothing very inclusive about them and nothing very different about them. They're all just mainstream schools. But that is not the concept of inclusive education. Inclusive education is basically you provide the same environment for the normal children, typically developing children, as well as for the special child, so that they can be easily mainstreamed. There is advantage of doing this for both the typically developing children as well as for the special child. The special child, this gets better enabling coping environment to get mainstream, and they are less likely to be absentee from the school if they are in the inclusive school than in the special school. And they can have stronger thinking and math skills and increased likelihood of pursuing higher education when they are early on in the inclusive education. This is the benefits for special children. But for the normal children, they get a positive effect on academic performance, they reduced fear of human differences, higher tolerance and effective communication, and less prejudice. These are the advantages for a normal child when they are mingling along with all the special children in the same environment, in the same class. This is very, 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 very important for today's time and era. There is a tolerance level which is much less, and the prejudices which are going on. So this is very important to inculcate at that particular age that there are so many different variants of normalcy, so many different manifestations of normalcy that we should get across, we should talk. And in today's era, it's not very easy to be a teacher because many times the kids know much more than the teacher. At least they think. So the teachers need to be very sensitive and they need to be sensitive towards the special children's needs and they need to protect and nurture special children. And this is a very easily said. This is an important problem in today's schools because the schools are outcome oriented. Schools are results oriented. Everyone wants 100% result. That's all. They care about 100% pass. To the extent, many times in 9th standard, 10th standard, they try to remove all the children who are not doing up to the mark in their definition, which is a sin. And the right to education is only on the papers. Right to education is not practiced at all. So I come across many children at 9th standard, 10th standard, which they have been in the same school for so many years. Now, suddenly the teachers are saying, you are not able to be allowed to be sit in the exams. Better you do NIOS, better you drop out, better you go instead. So this needs to be tackled. This as a community, as a parent support group, we can do this together. I have tried to do this as an individual level a lot, but it is a bit tough. Okay, so school, the teachers, the administration, and for that the focus should be away from 100%. This 100% is not right. What is 100%? Why do you need 100%? So that means you will exclude all the special children just to show on paper everyone passed. That is wrong. So this thinking should be changing. This as a collective community, as a society, we need to take this out. We need to call these schools out. We need for this, the parents' mindset should change. The school's mindset should change. The government's mindset should change. Because there is no need to achieve 100% pass results. Okay, 98 children are passing, fine. The 2% children with special needs, they passed 3 out of 5 subjects. I'm most happiest about that. Rather than saying 100% just excluding all those. So this is single most important message from today's talk, I would say. And for this, we have to talk to everyone surrounding us, tell them those whoever is saying 100% pass, 100% pass percentage is important, not important. To include special children in the school, to providing them the best care is most. So the slow learners are there amongst all of us. So we have come across slow learners in our school, in my classrooms. So this is all the time there. So they need a special care, special attention, rather than exclusion, just to show that your results on paper. So there are many different ways of improving the inclusion outside the classroom. So you don't need to inclusive only in the classroom. There are many other things that the parents can teach their normal children how to behave with their other children. So this is very, very, very important, a missing part of today's so-called fast-paced education. How you have fast food, you have fast education. Not very easy. So coming back to the interventions, we try to package these interventions into a whole lot of bundle. So typically my prescription goes like this. And many times I come across these parents after so many visits, so many consultations for 2-3 years. A child with a typical autism. 2-3 years, they have gone around many doctors, many consultations. For the first time, I say, remove TV from home. Stop mobile. 0 screen time. So most of the time, they have not been told, or even if they have been told, they are not compliant. Right? But this is the single most important intervention I will tell you, which improves children so much. In my practical experience, I have convinced about this. I'll show you the data why this is important. And avoid added sugar. That's again another important point for the brain. Physical activity, which increase regular sleep, occupational therapy, home program. So this is a typical intervention bundle that we talk about for a child who is a 3-year-old who comes with autism. Okay. So in this, if you notice, I've not written any medications. I've not written any fancy things. I've not written MRI. I've not written things which I don't do for autism. These are the most important things that we do. And many times, I see in a typical week, I see nearly 100 patients with autism. Right? So many times patients are able to follow this. Parents are able to follow this. But there are many parents who come back to me after 2 years. Okay, what have you done about this? Yes, doctor, we are trying to reduce TV time. After 2 years, we are trying to reduce TV time. After 2 years, if you're just trying to reduce, you are already lost the bus. Right? So why I am talking so much about the TV and mobile exposure? Because this is one experiment. You can go online and check. This is called IKEA plant experiment. You can. So this was done in United Arab Emirates in a school where they put they chosen carefully two identical plants and they put them in a common space in the school. For 1 month, they told this plant should be praised by all the students. They just come, the students come in the interval time, they just talk to the plant. Oh, you're so beautiful, you're so green, and I think you'll grow a big, tall tree. Like that, they praise. The other was to be bullied. And what you're looking very ugly like that. You know, the school kids, they can bully very much. So now they are given a target of bullying. So this plant was all the time bullied. This plant was all the time praised. Okay, they are two separate plants. And after 1 month, they noticed that the plant which was praised grew very nurturing, and the plant which was bullied almost dried up. So this is the importance of the media exposure. You are what you are watching. You would have heard you are what you are eating. I'm telling you today, you are what you are watching. I'll give you another example, stop if you are not already convinced that I recently came across this video. I don't know the real authenticity of this video, whether these are real frogs or artificial intelligence. I don't know. Looks like real frogs. So they are watching something on a mobile phone and the person trying to remove the mobile. So this is so addicting. I wouldn't be surprised if it is a real video, real frog is like behaving like this. I wouldn't be surprised. This is so addicting. Watching this. So you imagine a child watches this for many hours together. So this is the average screen time. It goes up to 6 hours for a 3-4-year-old child. Many times for adolescent teenagers, it goes up to 9 hours. And every time I come across any child for any problem, this is from my standard question. How long per day TV mobile? 2 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. This is a standard answer. Okay. So if a frog, which can be so addicting, if it watches for half an hour or 1 hour, you imagine what happens to a child which watches so many different things at 6, 9 years old. Okay. And now the social evil, like not a social media, it's a social evil. Sometimes it may be essential, sometimes it is not so essential. We need to remove that. At least from our personal lives, it can. Right? So now, previously we have heard, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Now the latest one addition is post or share no evil. Because this is the era of fake news. You don't even know the authenticity. You just without even reading that first button, you share. Hey, what have you read? No, thing has come, I share. That's my part. So in this, what they are saying, we have information overload. Compared to the previous generation, 3 times we have much more information. Has it, the more information, has it made us happy? Unfortunately, no. That's the paradox. You get more information, 3 out of 5 people say they spend a lot of time with the screen rather than their family members, and 73% of them say believe their use of electronic devices had contributed to the stress in their lifetime. The most interesting part you will see, 61% of people have felt jealous, depressed, sad, or annoyed after checking updates on the social media of their friends. Nothing is positive here. Jealous, depressed, sad, or annoyed after checking social media status of their friends. Right? So this is what you can do. So why I'm talking about this today? Because there is a real condition called virtual autism. So autism can be congenital, born with, genetic, or autism can be environmental. The most common of this is called virtual autism. Now it is becoming as an epidemic. and this is completely preventable problem. So there are many different names. This is the scientific publication. I am not making it up. And many names to this. One is virtual autism. The other one is called screen-induced syndrome. I will give you an example. A year ago, one mother came into my clinic and said, she's from here, Chennai. They settled down in Paris. The father is working in IT in Paris. So the mother and child was at home. The child was about 15-month old. The boy, 15-month old, he would not look at you. He will avoid looking at you. He will not listen. He will not listen when you are calling him by name. So he showed all the symptoms of autism at 15 months of age. So this mother came to me. This is the first ever time she came out of Paris. She came to Chennai visiting a family after childbirth. 15 months she came. I told, see what I have been doing. After he will come sit with his iPad, mobile for 8 hours per day. I have to do a lot of things at home because my husband is overworking 3 hours of office. Okay, fine. So I just the typical prescription I showed you already what I do. So I told, see, cut off all the screen and don't give any sugar. And anyway, you are here with your family and extended family, just to do as much as possible mingling with all the family members and the surrounding kids and everything. That mother completely vanished from the scene. I thought, okay, she's one of those parents, she will never come back and not would have followed everything. But to my surprise, 3 months later, that mother came back and said, sir, in few days' time, I'm going back to Paris. Okay, good, but at least you come and inform me. Fine. How is your child now? The child is completely changed, a normal child. 3 months. We didn't do anything else. You will not believe me. So this is the real story happened. So that is the time I got really convinced that this is a screen-induced syndrome. This is not a by birth autism. What he had, all the manifestations of autism completely vanished in 3 months by just stopping all the screens and interacting with the human. And I'm not making this up. This is already published, similar case. Has been already published. This publication talks about 2 young children exactly going through what is. They manifested all the autism symptoms by 1.5 years, and the simple intervention what they did, they completely switched off all the gadgets at home. The children in another 6 months completely. So then you will at least partly agree with me, you are what you watch. So watch what you watch. And this is another publication which shows correlation between screen time and autistic symptoms. Here, especially for boys, this is more than girls. We know autism is more for male gender than female gender. It's highly skewed towards boys. And this shows odds ratio of more than nearly 3.5 when multiple hours of screen time is there for boys of less than 3 years of age. So there can be so many other problems, not only virtual autism, there are so many other problems that we come across, from lifestyle disease like headache to epilepsy to psychosis to various different problems because of multiple screen times. And for that, the main proven facts are the kids who are on multiple hours of per day screen time, they have poor vocabulary, poor verbal fluency, poor articulatory abilities. This is research proven. Poor writing ability and poor grammar. That's not surprising. You write all how are you is H are you. There is no grammar, there is no word. We are regressing. Our language abilities are regressing. H are you. IKD. I don't know what is IKD. The kid said, the small kid said, which means I don't know. It's an IDK. Which means I don't know. Okay, that's a new language is sorted. So there is no grammar, there is no writing ability, and most kids, 3 years, 4 years, they don't want to write, they want to only type. So we are actually regressing here. So lack of creativity, imagination, no wonder. We are like that crowds sitting and watching what these things want us. So there is no creativity, there is no imagination here. So poor social skills, you will see our youngsters in the metro train or peripheral train, all sitting in a crowded train, still they are all isolated. Hyper connected, We have 5G, we are going to have 6G, but we are alone G. So we are isolated. Okay. So this is what happens for social skills. Many times youngsters detest human communication. If it's like this, you just say a hi, you will get a slap on your face. They detest human communication. They all want to get silos into their own world. So no friends withdrawn. We come across many youngsters like this, and this is a huge mental health, right? And not playing outdoors, early maturity into adult thinking. Other one child came as psychogenic episodes, what appeared like seizure, but they are not seizure, psychogenic episodes. Usually, we have one-on-one talk with these children because to understand what is the sexual basis, what is the risk factors. This child go on telling something. The school, that girl came. This girl came. She talked like this. She said this. She said that. So much, and she's 10-year-old. I was like, am I talking to a 10-year-old child or an adult? I had a serious doubt because the maturity, the talking was like adult. Many people think it's a proud and positive. I think it is negative because she has lost her childhood. If she is living adulthood at 10 years, when will she live her childhood? So this is what happens when we watch so many things unworked. So zero screen time is achievable. Many people think it is not achievable. At least for children with autism, we need to do this. For this is interesting. This correlation is basically the children's screen time is correlated with parents' screen. Simple set. Okay, parents see 10 hours, child see 4 hours. If the parents see only 2 hours, child is less than 1.5 hours, which is real normal, right? So the parents are the role models for the children. So if you are not able to cut down your screen time, then you can't blame your child. And this is the allowed screen time. The American Academy of Pediatrics indicates less than 2-year-old child should have a zero screen time. So this zero screen time is not my ambition or my wish list. This is recommendation by the American Academy of Pediatrics. It says less than 2-year-old child should have zero screen time. Because otherwise they can develop all different mental health problems in the future. And the recent WHO study also suggested the same thing. Now there is a recently we got digitized. All the schools now everything happened digitally. The books and papers they converted into PDF and read. Like I said, this is hard copy book. What's the fun in converting it into PDF and reading? You can read the same thing in the hard copy book. No, we are all digitized. We are all digitized. Now UNICEF is taking it up, saying till certain level in the school there should not be any digital. Recently only we went that way. Now you are saying the other way. This is how science develops, and this is the understanding we get at each time, right? So this is one of my favorite quote. Okay, it's all in your mind. So you cannot keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. The previous time also, say for example, you diagnose a child with autism, and you tell, okay, all these are wrong, and I have been like this in the last 3 months. Okay, you continue to be the same next 3 months, you can't expect anything more. You can't expect anything different. So for you to get different results, you keep changing what you're doing now. Then you can expect different results. So you can always set and reset your mind. That's why it is called mindset. Okay. So this is like your thermostat. So you can set, okay, 34 temperature, or your AC thermostat, you set at 24, it will be different. If you set at 17 or 16, it will be different. So thermostat is like that. Our mindset also can be reset. So this is called mindset, right? So if you're not changing your mindset, no, I don't want to do any of your prescription. Remove TV, no, not possible. Zero screen time, not possible. Zero sugar, not possible. Go to physiotherapy is not possible. Then you're not expecting anything different from what you had in the last 3 months. Simple, right? Just by giving one medication, everything happens? No, it doesn't happen. Many times I get surprised when I say, okay, it's achievable. In the next 1 month, we try to do zero screen time. Parents, to an accusing tone, they will say, doctor, you tell me what all things I can do without screens. I get sometimes surprised. Okay. So whether it's you're putting the ball on my court, or whether you genuinely don't know what you want to do, or you just want to turn the table on me, I don't know. But there are so many different things that we can do with those screens. And one standard answer to that question, I go, okay, you are 30-year-old. What did you do when you were 2-year-old? When mobile phone was not there, the smartphone was not there. What did you do when you were 2-year-old? What did you do when you were 6-year-old? You do that with your own child. We are all fine. We are all fine. I don't know any. I can be proudly saying I didn't know any rhymes till my 10th year, 10th year age. I didn't know any rhymes. I'm fine now. Now every mother wants their child at 1-year-old to say all rhymes. Mummy, Papa comes later. Rhymes first. I say, they are still Indians, right? Why do you have to say rhymes? Till 3-year-old, you don't say any rhymes, fine. You say Amma, Appa, Tata, Pati, fine, no, why do you have to say rhymes? So this is the mindset I'm talking about. This is the mindset we have to reset. Unless otherwise we do that, we have to come across main problems. So there are so many things that the kids can do without any screen involvement. That is what we have to deal with. That is what is the childhood for them. They are losing their childhood in front of the screen. So please, can you change the slide, please? Okay, so this is on another entirely different level. The screen is just the one thing. So this is what do they play? 10-year-old. Yesterday I had an interesting conversation with a 13-year-old boy who came because the school teachers complained a few things about his behavior to the parents in the last PTM. So they came to me. I think he's already on psychiatric treatment for quite a few years. They asked him, what do you play? 2 hours per day. Play, okay? Video games. What do you play? Doctor, I kill the tanks. The army tanks, you know, I kill the tanks. I asked him, why should you kill the tank? If I kill the tank, I get some points. Okay, what do you do with that points? I buy more tanks. You kill more tanks. At the end of the conversation, I asked him, why do you do this? Doctor, I got really shocked by the doctor, it's relaxation. I told, I don't get any relaxation by killing anything, leave alone killing any tank. He said, this is relaxation for me. This is just yesterday evening, the conversation I had, right? So that is what they are misplaced. They don't know what they are doing. They think it is relaxation. How can anything that you shoot people and to kill things, how can it be relaxation? It cannot. And he has all the negative thoughts, and he talks about self-harm, he talks about harming others. Of course, he will do. So when I ask the parents come and complain to me, doctor has a nightmare, has a negative thought, always talking about some harm to others. And the first thing I ask, what does he watch? He watches all horrible movies, horror movies. Why should he watch? That's what he watches. So this is exactly the same thing. So you are watch, right? Very important. So at least, even if you're not able to make zero screen time, say no to these things. Okay. Less than 18-year-old, you should not allow these things to. Okay. So this is people sitting behind the scenes making money out of these games, but real lives are going. So please make awareness about this and stop this. Another most important problem is added sugar. You cannot walk on the road 100 meters. You try this in the road without coming across one sweet shop or one bag. 20 years back, it wasn't there. I was in Chennai 20 years back. It wasn't there like this. So where are we doing wrong? And we are the diabetic capital of the world. Not very proud about it. So this is another real problem. And this is directly correlated with hyperactivity. Many kids, many parents come and say, doctor, I have been complained and sugar are taken out of this diet. The moment he eats one chocolate, the moment he eats sugar, that day we can see real he is very hyperactive. There are so many practical examples of this, you can see. And there is a regular real correlation between sugar and hyperactivity. So the moment you cut off, the moment the behavior improves, the aggression improves. Nowadays, most of the parents, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, doctor, 5-year, behaves aggressive. My thing is, yaar exam over. I am yet to come across any child or anyone in today's world who is not happy. So there is something going on. You have to change. Sleep, another important piece of this puzzle. Sleep helps memory consolidation. This is again a neuroscience proven point in research. So if you see our youngsters, 10-year-old, he sleeps 11:30. That's a better day. Sometime 12 o'clock in the night, and gets up at 5 o'clock, 5:30 or 6 o'clock. So this is the lifestyle now. 12 o'clock he sleeps, 6 o'clock he gets up. 10-year-old or 15-year-old, right? And what is the sleep need for the child? 9 to 10 hours. He sleeps 6 hours hardly. So this is chronic sleep deprivation. How will he concentrate in the studies? How will he have good memory? How will he learn? How will he behave better? Because chronic sleep deprivation leads to headache, irritability, poor concentration, poor memory, poor scholastic performance. So simple intervention for any of these complaints is to sleep good. Simple. But அதுதான் டாக்டர் முடியல அதனால தான் உங்கள்கிட்ட வந்து இப்போ மார்க் வாங்கிக்கலாம். So this is very, very important again. So sleep hygiene, regular sleep time, and there is a, say for example, here it says 6 to 12-month-old child should sleep for 14 hours. A 6 to 12-year-old child should sleep for at least 9 to 12 hours. 15 to 18-year-old child should sleep for at least 8 to 9 hours. So there is a age appropriate sleep. And all the age group, if you go and see, even in your immediate family, you will know this is all completely aware. The most important topic, alternate treatment options. Okay. So many times when we say, okay, this is autism, not curable. Okay, so not curable by allopathy. Let us go to homeopathy. It's not so. If some disease is there, which is not curable by allopathy, it is natural logic that it is not curable by homeopathy, siddha, or any other streams of medicine. Because all these streams of medicine work in a similar principle. It is not entirely different, right? You give a medicine, give something from externally to treat the disease. So if autism is not curable by allopathy, it is not curable by anything else. It can be improved, can be symptoms alleviated, symptoms controlled, symptoms better, cannot get cured. So we need to be realistic about the expectation. So you can try alternative treatment, that's your choice. But how it can show improvements, but we need to know the limitations. We need to have realistic expectation. So don't go by 100% guarantee provided by any of these, which is not true. And nothing is given in our country as easily as advice, even without you asking, you get. So be careful about it. But my humble request is do not stop scientifically proven therapy. The most example we come across is a child with epilepsy, seizure. So they are on multiple different medication, and this is a really drug-resistant epilepsy. So when they are go on to alternate medication, the first thing that they do, they stop all medication. And they end up with what is called life-threatening status epilepticus. There are quite a few children, they ended up in ICU, ended up with a severe morbidity because of drug withdrawal, status epilepticus, because some therapist told that the medication should be stopped to get our medication. So this is very, very, very important. At least don't stop what you are on scientifically. You try out other things, can provide some improvement, that is fine, but do not stop your medication, especially for seizure medication. Do not stop. There are many spurious claims and commercialization. That is, we are not against you trying any alternative therapy. We are for Indian medicine systems, but you do it properly. Do it in a scientific manner. Do it in a not trying something which is not there. Don't do it in a commercial manner. That's what we are. If there is a severe autism which is not curable by allopathy, it is not curable by any other system of medicine. So there is this question always comes up: what is the role of stem cell transplantation? It's not a magic bullet, and you see this is the petri dish, and you have a stem cell there, and it grows into different organs. This is as simple as you get, and this doesn't happen in real. Okay, so in life, nothing is that simple. You get a stem cell, it will grow into a brain. At least till today, the science is not there that much. We are trying to achieve that, but we are not there yet. So stem cell treatment is still experimental. It is recommended only in the clinical trial setting. That means you have controlled, you have randomized patients for this arm, randomized for sham therapy or other arm. So you see how it works. That is fine. But you commercialize that and say that is the cure, that is the panacea, that is the Sarva Nivarani for autism and CP. That is. We have come across many patients who have undergone stem cell transplant, including some of close friends and relatives circle, but there's so change. These are hundreds of patients. And I'm yet to come across one patient that has shown real dramatic change after stem cell. This we see only in their websites. We don't come across these patients. So coming to the last part of the talk, what are the problems faced by the families and the patients? So there are real overcrowding and lack of high quality services, especially in the public sector hospital. Not all the services are available under one roof. Variable quality of services, which are not very high quality all the time, and we can't afford these. There's a lack of funding. Not many insurance cover these rehabilitation services. High out-of-pocket expenses for the family, which is really unaffordable. And the lack of services in outside the big metropolitan cities. So those who are in the rural services, rural areas, they don't have any service. They have to really travel many long distances to avail service. Lack of family support. Not many special schools are there, and the quality again variable, and the residential facilities are not available in the special schools, so they have to again travel long distance to avail the special services. And inclusive schools, many times it is only in the name that they are inclusive. Actually, in the spirit, they are not that much inclusive. Yesterday, I came across again one patient whose child has autism, but high functioning autism. He's in the second standard. He gets full marks in English, in science and maths. He is a class topper for spell bee in his school, but he has a little bit communication and socialization problem. So the mother said, this is her words I wrote. School is supportive, but my society is not supportive. At least he is fortunate to find that school to be very supportive. That itself is bad here, but the society is not supportive at all. Down in their own apartment, the kids are not mingling with them. They are not playing, not ready to play with this child, even though he doesn't have that bad behavior or bad behavior traits. So this is the exclusionary society that we are talking. So all these problems causes caregiver stress, caregiver burnout. So the parents can become their mental health problem. They can have a real physical health problems because of easy frustration, depression, no hope, quick anger, anxiety. All the problems can happen. And this is a very much neglected topic. Sometimes we point to this, like we come across mothers who care so much dedicated to the parents, and sometimes so many years we have seen the child with mother. Sometimes the child comes with another family member. Many times I understand the mother passed away. It's very unfortunate. Young mother, I've seen this patient with her for so many years. Suddenly that child is carried by another relative. Where's your mother? She's no more. Especially this was common in the COVID time. That was understandable due to the COVID, but it is happening due to other chronic illnesses also. But when we try to point this out and point to the families that we were being burnt out, it's usually not very well received, not very well accepted by the families themselves. Even though we try to identify this as a problem and point out, you take care of yourself first, take care of yourself, then only you can take care of your child. So we all as a group, we should think about caregiver burnout, which is a real topic, which can be a major problem to the family. Finally, this affects the own child, because if mother is not there, the child is not going to be cared for well. So there are many different various ways how to handle this. So there are first again, it starts with what I emphasized before, realistic expectations, and you have to embrace your role as a caregiver, practice self-care, that is more important. And caregiver support groups are very important in this, and take regular breaks, relax and meditate, all that. So this is one simple cartoon where this has been a little bit more simplified, how to take care of caregiver burnout. So you sleep well yourself, try to write, try to talk, express yourself, and do something which makes you happy, and share the load with other family members also. So the doctors and the caregivers and the family members have to share the load, talk it out. The person who is feeling the burnout should talk out, and you can do some physical exercise. So this is employee model, and this is easier said than done in our practical work. So this is all possible because of the team effort. Again, together we can achieve more. So I am very fortunate, blessed with my teammates in my clinic and other workplaces. And you can see Mrs. Rashmi Goyal is a very senior, able, qualified, very well experienced, very humble human being. And most of the outcomes I showed is because of her team and her all the teammates. Purnikala is there, Nirmala is there, all the other physiotherapists. I've been very fortunate to work with this kind of amazing people. So I call always our therapists are amazing. So this is again Mrs. Rashmi Goyal and her team. And I'm very fortunate to have Kavita as the speech therapist. And these are our support staff. This is Isaac, easy technician. She's Sumita, she's Shakina, she's Nandini, and Vijay, all our technicians and support staff. So this is all teamwork from our end. And this is teamwork between a doctor and the family and the therapist. So without that, it is not possible. So take home messages, early diagnosis and interventions are the important crucial steps. Seek care hearing. This is what I humbly request the families and any of your close relatives or friends, anyone is there. Because if I request any one of you, have you come across any special child in your close family friends circle? How many of you have come across special child in your family, close family, not in our family? So I have many special children in my close family. Okay, so most of us have. So only thing what we should do, seek early care, seek help whenever you need, and as a doctor, refer early. So don't try to put them under the carpet. Okay, this will get better. This will get better. Things get better. You have to change things to get the better results. Accept and understand the diagnosis. That's the single most important first step I would say for parents and families. Follow the most proven pathway. If you're going trekking to Everest, if this is the chosen path, and if this is the treaded path, if this is how all the other people have done, you can't do another way. You have to do the same way. So, proven pathway, scientifically proven methods of interventions are there. We are here to provide you that guidance. Please follow the most proven pathway. Don't tread your own pathway. Don't try to do it yourself, which is not possible and which is not effective. Regular follow-up is very important. And first of all, I always tell my parents, we are here for you. It's very unfortunate that we have to tell this in this society. Many times they think doctors are not there. This kind of mistrust are creeping in the system. So today I would like to tell all of you, we are here for you. All the things, the outcomes I have shown is not possible without the personal involvement of dedicated many hours of hard work by our team or our therapists or our personal interest is not possible. So we take these as a very sincere job and we are here for you. But together we can do much. So with that note, I thank all of you. Before thanking, so this one poem, again, one of the child has recently lost mom. This child had a psychogenic non-epileptic attacks. Okay. I was going through again, what is your stressor, what is the problem with? So he told me, doctor, this poem I have to memorize. And the teacher was pressurizing me. And teacher was scolding me, I could not do. And I just googled what is the poem. You are telling me, let us go through the poem together. And it is so ironic that because of this poem, that child got into mental health issue and got psychogenic non-epileptic episodes and presented to me. If you read this poem, you will see so ironic it is. So that the poem says, the poem itself called Don't Quit. The poem says, when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you are trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low, debts are high, and you want to smile, but you can only sigh. When care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. So this is the poem he has to do, and he quit again. Okay, so that is the irony, and many of us do this day and day. We quit even before trying what you have to try. So with that, I thank all of you for your kind attention. I hope I could get across some of the messages that I wanted to convey. And first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Anil Pandey, Dr. Vasudevan, and the whole of Department of Neurosurgery, Neurosciences in the VHS Hospital for inviting me here for this oration. And I would like to thank Dr. Kritika Chari ma'am for being here. I had a nice chat with ma'am after many years. Thank you, ma'am. And she is again our alumni from the same college which I graduated in, Kilpatrick Medical College. And I have many fond memories of madam, very motivated for all of us. And I would like to thank Dr. Kamala Devaji, ma'am, sister, Professor Usha, and your family for instituting this endowment to carry on the legacy. Hope I did some justice to that. And thank you all.
Thank you for a brilliant inaugural oration. And thank each one of you. On a Sunday, we have found time because we were worried that being a Sunday, it would be this thing, but I think with all of your support, it has been a brilliant success. Now, I want every one of you to honor the memory of Dr. Kamala and join us for lunch. You're also welcome to see the Neuroscience Museum, which is there. So please, all of you come for lunch. People can walk, get the lift and walk to the thing in case you have difficulty in climbing steps. Otherwise, all the rest can accompany me and we climb the steps for lunch. Please join us for lunch. Thank you.